Hello, good evening. My name is Cesar Sandoval, and today I want to inform you all and make you all aware of an event that occurred in Mexico a long time ago, known as the Tlatelonco Massacre of 1968. And the reason I want to talk to you guys about this today is because, well, first of all, my family is from Mexico. I have a lot of older family members that were alive during this time period, and they remember they remember the situation that the country was in at the time. They remember the tension, all of the unrest that happened at this time, and so I've always been interested in this topic. And of course, the main reason I want to talk to you guys about this event is that many people lost their lives tragically during this event, and so to keep their memory alive and to respect their memory, I want to inform people about it, right? And so there are three things I want to talk to you guys about today. First of all, is why the Tlatelonco massacre happened. Second, I want to talk about how it happened. And third, I want to talk about how it helped change the political landscape of Mexico today, right? And so for the first one, right, why did it happen? Why did this tragic event happen? The first thing you guys have to understand is that in Mexico during this time, there was Mexico during this time was under a single party rule of a right wing party known as el PRI. A lot of people were not happy with this political party, how they were handling the country, how they were handling economic and social issues in the country at the time. Especially, it was the younger generation that was not happy with the country, right? And they made their unhappiness known. They protested. They set up demonstrations. Some of the protests went out of hand and became riots, but that was minimal. It was not a lot of them, right? And so the government saw this. They obviously were not happy with the backlash from the people, and so knowing that a lot of the protesters were younger people, they sent the national army to occupy universities in Mexico City where these protests were happening, right? All major universities like El UNAM, El Tec, and El Politécnico, all of them were being occupied and shut down by the Mexican army. And obviously, a lot of the university students were not happy with that and protested even harder, right? And another thing you guys have to know is that 1968, on October 12th, the very first Olympic Games in a third world country would be held in Mexico City, right there in Mexico City. And the Mexican government, knowing this, knowing that with the Olympic Games would come a lot of, you know, news outlets. They knew that the eyes of the entire world would be focused on Mexico for the duration of the Olympic Games, and the government did not want the entire world seeing all of this unrest. They did not want to see how divided the country was at the time, and how people did not approve of the Mexican government, right? And so because of that, they were desperate to shut down all of the to shut down the protest as soon as possible, right? They were willing to take desperate measures, right? And this can be seen especially because of what happened on October 2nd, tragically, which is the second point I wanted to make to you. It's like why it happened, how it happened, right? How did the massacre take place, right? And so what happened is that on October 2nd of 1968, just 10 days before the Olympic Games started officially, right? People gathered at Tlatelonco Square, right, for a protest, right? This would be the biggest protest yet. Um, Not a lot of. It is still debated how many people gathered at the plaza. Um, some numbers, some some witnesses claim that maybe around 500 people had gathered, and other accounts reach upwards of 10,000 people that were gathered at the plaza at the time, right? Right, and so what happened? Why is this considered a massacre? Well, it is considered a massacre because at around 6 o'clock on October 2nd, eyewitnesses, um, the very few eyewitnesses that were left, claim that the Mexican army had put had basically started shooting at people, right? right at around 6 o'clock. They claimed seeing a helicopter hovering around the plaza, hovering around the protesters that had gathered at the plaza. And then they claimed to have seen the helicopter shoot signal flares at around 6 p.m. on October 2nd, right? And when the signal flares were shot, um, snipers that were stationed on the roofs around the plaza started shooting at the protesters that were gathered there. The Mexican government blocked off all the entrances in and out of the plaza, so everyone who was gathered there was trapped in there, right? And many people died that day. A lot of people, right? The exact number of victims is unknown. A lot, mostly due because of the government trying its hardest to get rid of all of the evidence, right? And so some estimates of how many people died that day vary, from anywhere from couple hundreds, like from 500 to upwards of 1,000 people, right? The exact number is still unknown to this day, right? And so the massacre happened, right? But by October 3rd, the day after, like, it was completely clean. The streets were cleaned. There was no blood. There was no sign of violence anywhere, right? And the weeks after that, any all knowledge of the massacre was not erased, but the government tried its hardest to erase the fact that the massacre had occurred, right? News outlets were downplaying the severity. Some news outlets were claiming that it was a protester that shot first, right? And the Mexican government tried its hardest to cover up any knowledge of the event, right? They blocked documents and whatnot, right? But despite this, obviously people talked, right? Despite the government's efforts, people still spread word of the massacre, even if for a while it was considered a conspiracy theorist. A lot of people believed it, right? And eventually in 2014, it was proven to be true, a true event that happened, right? And a lot of people credited the Tlatelonco Massacre for having ignited change in the country. They credit it with having helped change the political landscape for the better, right? And nowadays, thankfully, the PRI is no longer in power in Mexico, right? And um, and Claudia Sheinbaum, the current president of Mexico, has even gone as far as to publicly acknowledge the massacre and even apologize for it on behalf of the government to all the people who suffered that day, right? And so thank you all for listening. I hope you guys learned about this massacre, about this horrible tragic event that happened. I hoped to have maybe implanted seeds of interests about events of this type, right? Because in my opinion, it is very important for people to never forget these tragic events, to learn from them. And to never let the memories of those who passed away be forgotten. Um, Thank you.